Your baby sister, the one you raised like your own daughter, sits across from you, demanding that you sell your deceased mother's house to fund her $50,000 wedding. When you refuse, she lures you into a fake birthday dinner, where lawyers wait to pressure you into signing everything away. But what she didn't know was that I had a secret recording device. What happened when I played that recording at her engagement party destroyed her perfect image forever. If you've ever been betrayed by family who saw you as an ATM instead of a person, you'll understand my story. My name is Judith and I'm 38 years old. I've been more of a mother to my little sister Emma than our actual mother ever was. Emma is 8 years younger than me, and from the time she could walk I was the one taking care of her. When she scraped her knee, she came running to me. When she had nightmares, she crawled into my bed. When she needed someone in the front row at her school plays, I was always there. I carried her on my shoulders at county fairs, bought her cotton candy when she dropped hers in the dirt, and stayed up all night when she had the flu. I taught her to ride a bike, helped her with homework, and scared away boys who weren't good enough for her. Being her big sister wasn't just a role, it was my whole identity. 6 months ago, our mother passed away after a long battle with cancer. Those final weeks were brutal. I was the one who took time off work to sit by her bedside, to manage her medications, and to hold her hand when she was scared. Emma, meanwhile, visited maybe 3 times in 2 months, always too busy with work, her boyfriend, or social events. When Mom died, she left me her house. It wasn't a mansion, just a modest 3-bedroom home in the quiet neighborhood where I grew up. But it was her way of making sure I'd be okay. Her way of saying thank you for all the years I carried the family while Emma lived carefree. That house still smelled of Mom's lavender perfume. Her coffee cup was still in the sink from her last morning at home. Her reading glasses still rested on the nightstand beside a half-finished crossword. Walking through those rooms was like walking through my childhood. I wasn't ready to let go. Emma, however, had other plans. 2 weeks after the funeral, she called me to lunch. She arrived polished and perfect with her fiancé, Marcus, a man who treated charm like a weapon. "Judith," Emma began, sliding into the booth, "we need to talk about Mom's house." I already knew where this was going. Marcus and I are planning our wedding, and we've found the perfect venue. The whole thing is going to cost about $50,000. "That's a lot of money," I replied carefully. Emma leaned forward, her voice sugar-sweet. "We need you to sell Mom's house and split the money with me. It's only fair. We're both her daughters." Her words hit like a slap. Fair. I'd been the one working 2 jobs to pay Mom's medical bills while Emma spent her money on designer clothes and weekend trips. I'd been the one waiting in hospitals while she posted vacation selfies. "Emma," I said, steadying my voice, "I'll give you $10,000 as a wedding gift. That's all I can do without selling the house." Marcus cut in with a smirk. "10,000? That's nothing compared to the value of the house. Come on, Judith, be reasonable." The way he said reasonable made my chest tighten. They didn't see me as family, they saw me as a bank. Emma's mask slipped. "Some sister you are," she muttered. That night, sitting in Mom's living room, I realized something devastating. The little girl who once fell asleep in my arms during thunderstorms was gone. In her place was a woman who measured love by dollar signs. A week later, Emma called again. This time her tone was soft, apologetic. "Judith, I'm sorry about lunch. I was stressed with wedding planning. How about we celebrate your birthday? Just family at that nice Italian place downtown." I wanted to believe her. I wanted to believe she remembered who we used to be. But my husband, Jim, was suspicious. "Emma doesn't do anything without an agenda," he warned. When we arrived at the restaurant, I noticed 3 men in suits at a nearby table. They had briefcases but no food, and they kept glancing our way. My stomach twisted. Emma smiled through appetizers, pretending everything was normal. Then Marcus slid a manila envelope across the table. "We had our lawyer draft some paperwork," he said smoothly. "It's a trust document so we can manage Mom's estate together. Makes things easier." I opened it with shaking hands. The language was legal jargon, but the meaning was clear. I'd be signing over everything. Mom's house, Mom's assets, straight to Emma and Marcus. "This isn't what you said," I whispered. "You told me this was a birthday dinner." Emma's smile hardened. "It is," she snapped, her voice sharper now. "And this," Emma said, sliding the envelope toward me, "is your birthday present. The chance to do the right thing for your sister." That's when Jim quietly reached into his jacket pocket and pulled out a small digital recorder. He set it on the table between us, the little red light blinking. "What's that?" Marcus demanded. "Insurance," Jim replied calmly. "Because what you're doing right now is called coercion. Fraud. Elder abuse. Well, not elderly, but you get the idea." The change in the room was immediate. Emma's face went pale. Marcus's jaw clenched so tight I could see the muscles working. The three lawyers at the nearby table suddenly became very interested in their phones and began packing up their briefcases. "You can't record us without permission," Emma hissed. "Actually," Jim said, "this is a one-party consent state. And Judith consented to recording this conversation to protect herself from exactly this kind of manipulation." I watched my baby sister's mask crumble completely. The sweet, apologetic Emma from the phone call was gone, replaced by someone I barely recognized. Someone willing to trick me, pressure me, and steal from me to get what she wanted. We left the restaurant without signing anything. The lawyers scattered like roaches when the lights came on. And I went home knowing that the sister I'd loved my whole life had tried to rob me blind. But that wasn't the end of it. 2 weeks later, Jim and I were driving past the community center when I saw cars lined up outside and string lights twinkling in the windows. Emma's engagement party, the one I hadn't been invited to. "Pull over," I told Jim. "Judith, what are you doing?" "Something I should have done years ago." I walked into that party carrying the digital recorder in my purse. Emma stood in the center of the room in a flowing white dress, laughing and soaking up congratulations. Marcus was beside her, playing the role of perfect fiancé. The party sparkled with fairy lights, flowers, and a table piled high with expensive catering. It was exactly the kind of glamorous event Emma had always dreamed of, elegant, Instagrammable, and funded by someone else's money. When the toasts began, relatives clinked their glasses and gushed about Emma and Marcus. Friends shared sweet stories about their love story. That's when I stood up. "I wasn't planning to speak tonight," I said, my voice cutting through the suddenly quiet room. "But I can't stand here and watch this celebration knowing what I know." Emma's smile froze. Marcus went rigid. 2 weeks ago," I continued, "I was invited to what I thought was a birthday dinner. Instead, I was ambushed by lawyers and pressured to sign away my mother's house. My baby sister tried to steal my inheritance, to pay for this party." Gasps rippled through the room. A glass shattered somewhere in the crowd. Emma's face went from pale to crimson. I pulled out the recorder and pressed play. Emma's voice filled the hall, sharp and demanding. "Just sign the papers, Judith. Split the money. It's only fair." Then Marcus's voice followed, cold and calculated. 10,000 is nothing. Don't be selfish." The recording lasted barely 30 seconds, but the silence afterwards stretched on forever. Friends and family stared at the so-called perfect couple with shock and disgust. Their flawless image cracked like cheap paint. "This ends tonight," I said, setting the recorder on the gift table. "No more using family as a weapon. No more pretending love is something you can buy or steal." Emma's eyes darted around the room like a trapped animal. Marcus looked like he wanted to sink into the floor. I walked out of that party with my head held high. Behind me, whispers swelled into a storm, people questioning everything they thought they knew about the happy couple. The aftermath was swift and brutal. By the next morning, half of Emma's wedding guests had cancelled. Marcus's parents, who'd been planning to help pay for the wedding, pulled their support entirely. Several family members called me to apologize for believing Emma's version of events and expressed their shock at what she'd tried to do. 3 days later, Emma called me in tears, begging me to fix things. She wanted me to tell everyone the recording was fake. But I was done being her cleanup crew. I was done sacrificing my peace of mind for someone who saw me only as a source of money. The wedding was postponed indefinitely. Emma and Marcus's relationship didn't survive the scandal. Turns out Marcus was only interested in her when she came with a hefty inheritance attached. As for me, I stayed in Mom's house. I turned her sewing room into my home office and her garden into a quiet refuge. The house still smells faintly of lavender and I still stumble upon her reading glasses in random places. But now it feels like home instead of a museum. Looking back, I realize I spent so many years trying to be the perfect big sister that I forgot to protect myself. Sometimes the people we love most are the ones who cut us deepest, because they know exactly how to use our love against us. But there comes a point when you must choose. be taken advantage of, or stand up for yourself. And I finally chose me.